Down the Rabbit Hole podcast, first episode of 2024.
Oh, Happy New Year, brother.
We've been talking the whole time. We haven't said Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Mate.
2024. Man. It literally was a year ago when we started this.
It was because we started. Remember
We were recapping 2022.
we were recapping the top stories, and the thing is, it was never meant to be like a news bulletin sort of style, but we've kind of kept with it. I think this year, to be honest, I'm going to get some new formats for the podcast specifically.
Yeah.
But we've got new video formats. I've put the first vlog, so I'm just going to link it here to the United Cup. So if you can't get enough of this content,
Shay Media blowing up, man.
Shay Media's blowing up. How have you been? You like my Drake haircut, you know?
Yeah, it looks interesting. It needs a fade, I think. That's why I'm just it's throwing me off a bit. Like, it's like, what is wrong with this? Something's off. And
Dude, why every ethnic you gotta have a fade? Right? You don't need a fade.
You need a fade.
Why do you need a fade, bro? Fades were like a last 5 years kind of thing.
He's above the fade.
We went the latter part of a decade with. I'm just saying, why does it need a fade? I don't see why it needs a fade.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we've got an interesting. Well, we're not going to talk about AI to begin the year, which is. Oh man, that's
a relief.
That's a relief. This is the comedian episode because there's a lot of reactions to a lot of things that have been said. But before we begin, let's talk. Let's go to my favorite, which is the fight scene. Have you heard Francis Ngannou is now going to take on Anthony Joshua?
Yes, I mean after
just 5 minutes ago,
But no, like obviously he's left the UFC.
He's left the UFC.
And he left for a bigger payday, right? So that was what was told, that he actually left because he had some disagreements with Dana.
He didn't like Dana. And he, recently, I can't even remember. Well, it was last year. He took on Tyson Fury, right?
Yes, that's right.
The greatest heavyweight of all time, and surprisingly, not surprisingly to him, he had a pretty decent showing. So he lost the fight, but I think the overwhelming reception from a lot of media and combat sports pundits was that he did a really good job, and a lot of people actually thought he won. So
there was respect for him.
Yeah. So but this is a weird one because he's an MMA fighter, he's not a boxer. He comes in and he nearly beats or has a very good showing against Tyson Fury. So you think, where is this going to go to? And now we see that he's going to take on Anthony Joshua. So for those who don't know, but those who are probably watching this probably do know, Anthony Joshua is Britain's heavyweight king basically. Oh, actually, wait, hold up. No, he is. So he's a big deal, and really the top three fighters in the men's heavyweight division is Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Usyk is there too, to be honest, and Deontay Wilder. You remember the Tyson? So it's this triumvirate. But I think the whole interesting thing about this is now that seemingly, and obviously this is off the back that Francis Ngannou had a really good showing there. Because if he got obliterated,
we won't be talking about this.
We probably wouldn't be talking about this. But because he's competitive, he takes on Anthony Joshua, and this is just a weird one for me. I like it. In any God make your money, boy.
Would you call it celeb boxing?
Well, this is not celebrity boxing because none of the Pauls are involved. But he's basically jumped the queue on a lot of fighters that would probably deserve this fight. But now I think we are heading into the stage of. See, the thing is, the reason people love the UFC the most. In terms of a fight promotion, was the best always fought the best, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You remember back in the day where they said, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, the fight happened way too late.
Yeah.
They were not at their peak and they were ducking each other, was for money, whatever sort of reason,
it's
right?
Boring, actually.
Yeah, because in boxing there's so many promotions and stuff like that. It is very highly political, but because they're not under the same banner, it can be very hard to get sides to agree, right? Yeah. So I think what we're seeing now is basically the money fights and the entertainment fights really getting escalated up pretty quickly.
So boxing doesn't follow the UFC in the sense that there's one leading organization organizing all the fights. It's more the two different fight camps coming to an agreement and then fighting.
I believe so. I believe there's and
then someone promoting it.
There's belts.
Yeah.
There's promoted, and there's so many belts. I'm not even going to bother there. They're promoters, and they're promoters for each, basically like their agents, right? Super promoters, and then they figure out what that happens. So I don't know the specifics of it, but here are the interesting elements of this fight, right? So interestingly enough, against Tyson Fury, it was an exhibition match, and it had kind of like not hybrid rules, but not proper boxing rules.
Yeah.
There were 3 minutes, six rounds.
Yeah.
So this fight is actually, and the gloves were a bit different size.
Yeah,
I
usually
think
boxing matches go 10.
Yes. So this is a proper boxing match. In terms of rounds, 10 rounds, I think proper minutes there. Yeah. And surprise, surprise, it's going to be hosted in Saudi Arabia. And this is what I mean. This is where like it's blurring the lines where this is clearly a money fight in the sense of people are capitalizing on the eyeballs.
And Saudi Arabia's big on, they're trying to get
they're
all
trying
the sports,
correct.
all the promotions to come. And
that's where the Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou fight was there. So yeah, I like on one hand, I feel great that these fights are happening. On the other hand, see, the thing that's great about like the UFC, and I keep bringing it back, so for like I'm a UFC head, which I am, and I love MMA, is you get to see the progression of a fighter as they're coming up and fighting it, right?
Yeah.
Here, I mean, like you're gonna enjoy it anyway. But my thing is, you've skipped the line on these fights really quick, right?
Yeah.
So once this happens, and let's just say it goes one of two ways. Anthony Joshua wins, and you've indicated that finally the proper boxer wins in boxing.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou wins, and you're like, wow, like this guy is a real good boxer kind of thing, right? But you don't get that little tease and that you don't build that story and momentum that Francis Ngannou, for example, built when he was coming up the ranks to that like apex point, which is a championship fight means nothing unless you've got the highlight reel, for example, to show, right? And that's the same for any combat sport, same for even wrestling. You build up the story.
You got to build it up. Yeah.
And there is a story. The problem that I see in this mechanism and where this is going is the story is going to be one of 5 rematches. That's what's going to happen, because that's what happened with Tyson, because there's no other big names in boxing. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder went how many times? We watched that a couple of times. The first one was really good, right? Yeah. You're enthralled by it. You came in, Tyson Fury was in a bloody Kings, like the show, spectacle.
The showman.
And the second and the third time, it was the same thing. You're like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Because I watched this fight again. Yeah, it might be a bit different technically, but you're watching the same guys fight there. And I think this is where I'm kind of seeing it, and like I'm happy for the fight, but like if the payout down the line is a couple of rematches with the same 3-4 guys, which is where I can see it landing. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, so boxing isn't the sport, and then we've heard a lot of people say that boxing's dead, really.
Yes,
there's a lot of because of the fact that there's a lot of, I heard a lot of cheating in the sport, a lot of fixing, a lot of rigging. But also the fact that what you said, there's no sort of rankings that sort of decide who fights who. It's more promotion based. It's more what are the big names, and that's why we see Logan Paul, Jake Paul, all these guys, KSI.
Well, that's clearly like in the vein of celebrity boxing,
and
right?
That's why they're all like just fighting, and that's why you also see a lot of like there's a back push against these guys as well. Right, doing that. In the UFC though, you're right. There is that come up. You have to win like a lot in a row. Yeah. You have to go. You have
to build a resume, right?
Yeah, build a resume. Win-loss record. But we've also seen the UFC them just sort of pushing guys up.
They do.
Like your Brock. Lesnar,
they
like
definitely do.
Punk.
And I think this is like a version of what we're seeing happening. And to that point, by the way, I'm not saying that doesn't happen in boxing too, but I'm saying
I believe Francis Ngannou is serious about a boxing career. Yeah. Right? Like he wants to make this his career.
Well, I don't know about that because he signed in the PFL. He just hasn't fought in it yet. The PFL is an MMA organization. Yeah. Yeah. Funnily enough, he hasn't fought there. But one of the stipulations that he had an issue with in the UFC that led him to left is when he was renewing his contract, he wanted the ability to fight outside. And Dana's never going to allow that, right? Yeah. So the Conor experiment was that. It was an experiment. It was a one-off. It was never going to happen again. Yeah. Dana liked Conor. Not to say that Dana didn't like Francis.
Well, the thing is, Conor can demand that sort of stuff because of his style.
Yeah, I mean, and Francis did not demand, but asked for it. And then he got shown that... He got let go, right? So it is what it is, right? Yeah. But yeah, like I don't deny. And the other thing is like it's just that if Francis was serious about a career in boxing, like he is like an amateur, like the record is 0. The thing is, I don't even know if this counts towards his record. Like because there's a boxing fight now. It's moved away from being an exhibition, right?
thought I heard that boxing does have a federation that can.
No,
the WBF or something.
it does,
like.
but again, this isn't Saudi Arabia. Not that means anything, but
Yeah.
this is what I mean. Like these are purely money fights, right?
no, money fights,
Entertainment
yeah.
fights, eyeball fights, which is okay. Like again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like wrestling is built on the same premise of entertainment and that immediate sort of gratification. But again, like one or two things are going to happen, right? Like, well, one person's going to win, so the outcome is 50-50. I highly doubt it's going to be a draw. Someone's either going to knock someone out, whatever. The various permutations. But how I see this, the thing is, none of these guys are ever going to go back to fighting lower ranked boxers.
No.
So when you have someone like Francis Ngannou, who yes has a resume in the UFC, but not in boxing, it's just I don't know the pay. If he beats Anthony Joshua, then what? So he goes back to he's going to have to go back to Tyson. He's going to go to Deontay Wilder. Then what? You can't. You can't. Yes, you can.
Maybe the Logan Pauls.
But you know what I mean, right? Yeah, Logan Paul and no one, three of those Pauls together are not going to get in that ring with fucking Francis Ngannou. But you know what I mean? It's like, then what?
Yeah, there's only so far.
It's a lot of that immediate gratification, but you don't get that kind of build up. And I think that's the great thing about like the UFC. They've churned these athletes that could do it. But my question to you is, in your understanding of the current fighters now, who could blaze like a similar path to Francis Ngannou in terms of leading the UFC and
make
trying
that
to
shift
and trying to do what they're doing? Conor, obviously. I think it's ready made for Conor that once he retires or when
I don't see Conor actually on a boxing. I actually don't. I don't know.
It's got to pay off all the debts.
I actually see Conor going to wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah, I reckon, dude, he's gonna pick a career where because he'll be finished with the UFC. His body would be a bit like not the same,
broken down.
So what's the easier thing to do? It would be to rely on his mic skills. Yeah. Right, which you can do all in wrestling all you want. Yeah, and you can become a star there, and you can really make some money. Yeah. Endeavor is the
how much money do wrestlers make though? It's endorsements, right? Like a lot of it is.
No, a lot. They're in the millions.
Yeah.
If you're making money for the company, you'd be getting paid millions, especially with Endeavor now. They really want like that star. That's why you see The Rock coming back into wrestling. They want the star power in WWE. Yeah. And there's no bigger star.
Why
power
do you think the star power is like dwindling a little bit?
No, they've
cultivated their own
CM
guys.
Punk's come back. The Rock's come back.
But you're telling me a lot of comebacks. So who are the new kids?
They're building young stars. Like Roman Reigns is very good.
Yeah.
He's drawing a lot of numbers. Cody Rhodes. But imagine that cross mainstream sort of appeal of a Conor. Coming in. He's already talked shit about WWE wrestlers. Yeah. Imagine him coming in facing face to face with Roman Reigns.
Okay. Firstly, I don't know how the hell this got hijacked to a Conor show. But anyway, down the line.
It's promotion, right? At the end of the day.
It is promotion.
It is promotion.
Here's my thing with Conor. All right. The thing is, I think from where Conor is cut in, he needs to like feel the energy, he needs to really fight. I think that's just his DNA. Yeah. So that's why I see like the boxing will enable him to really sort of fight. Yeah. And do both, a little bit of both.
Because Conor's coming back in June, right? In UFC.
Middle of the year, fight week, international fight week.
There's a fight there.
Yeah.
And it's weird he's not coming back for UFC 300, right?
Correct.
You'd think that'd be the place, that'd be the big deal that they would make.
I'm sure they wanted to, like just...
Unless he starts something at UFC 300, that'll be interesting. But like, he's definitely going to be there in attendance. But it's odd that he's not fighting on UFC 300.
Who else do you think could do it? Tony Ferguson. But because you want a guy that has star power, like name power, and can actually box. Nate Diaz could do it.
Diaz, I can see.
Masvidal could.
Yeah, Masvidal as well. Diaz and Masvidal are the main ones.
So you just need guys with big names that box. But
like also have some sort of personality that can sell a fight.
Yeah. But they need to me, you can sell the fight.
They need strikers.
Yeah. Well, most of these guys are strikers to begin with anyway, right? Anyway, look, it's interesting. I don't know how I feel all about it. And by the way, this is in March. That's how quick these things are. Like it got decided in January. Apparently, I think today is actually at the press conference.
January's over, mate.
That's what I mean. March is
like
how quickly this
going through the year, mate.
Offendering. Okay, all right. Let's begin. Let's begin the comedian fest. Okay. Joe Coy takes flack on basically hosting the Golden Globes. Okay. So look, do you know Joe Coy? Are you familiar with this stuff?
Filipino brother. What's up, man?
Okay. Okay, but Okay, so you've just recently heard it for the first time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So this is good, right? So you've heard that he's gotten a lot of flack.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I
the
watched
host, right?
the monologue, and
Yeah.
I saw the the jokes there. It looked like regular monologue fare, really. And
Yeah.
then he hit that Barbie joke.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of awkward laughs in the room. You could see.
Yeah.
You know, all the actors. You know, what's his name? Ryan. What's his face? He's in Barbie. Right.
Who?
The guy from Barbie. What's his name?
Yeah. I remember this
That
name.
bloke, yeah. Him and Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
It was like awkward laughs.
Nah, I get it. Okay, first things first. This is a terrible gig. So apparently he got the gig
10 days.
10 days before, right? So doomed to fail. Like just not a lot of turnaround time, right? They in the past have had Ricky Gervais, Tina Fey, comedians. No, Kevin Hart's the other one. So comedians seem to be like who they're going for, right? So the responsibility of the role is effectively like an MC-ish in the beginning. You do a monologue and then you introduce then it's an MC role, pass the baton, punchlines here, there, right? So maybe he's doing, I don't know, maybe just under an hour worth of actual monologue sort of jokes, right? So 10 days, if he got the gig 10 days to which he was really like appreciative of it, like it's a big deal, right? Like he's probably the first
for a comedian, it's a
first
massive deal.
Asian of Asian descent, like definitely first Filipino to get it. He was so happy about that. Apparently, they offered it to Chris Rock and he turned it down.
Of course he would.
He turned it down. But like what I mean is like this job is just it's a terrible gig, right? Like they must have written him a bomb on
The only
chest,
person that I
right?
think killed it was Ricky Gervais.
Okay, so
That's iconic, that one.
Okay. So I actually, Trish told me about it, about like joke, because she was on holiday. She watched it. I was working, and I'm like, "How did he do?" He's like, "He bombed." I'm like, "Really?" So that I hearing that, I heard it right. So I just heard the main thing is this 10-minute monologue, which everyone seems to be going about. I'm like, dude, it's not overly funny.
No,
but
it's
it's
not the
not.
best material.
But it's not like. It's definitely not offensive, and it's not as bad as a lot of people are making it. So I'm like,
I think the
I'm
reaction
so confused.
to it was a bit
Over the top,
exaggerated.
right?
It was over the top. I mean, obviously there were some people saying that he crossed the line with the Barbie jokes. I mean,
Well,
really?
not really.
I mean, come
not
on.
really. Yeah.
To me, it was the reaction in the crowd there. It was more like, here's a little secret: actors don't give a shit about the Golden Globes. They don't. They actually do not.
How many people?
They're there because they're forced to be there. They don't want to be there.
Well, unless
They're
you're,
there to have drinks with them.
unless you're up for an award, right?
Yeah, but even then, like, they don't really consider it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the awards before the main awards and the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
So they're just there to have, like, a good time, drink with their mates, and then, is someone saying something on the stage? Oh, okay. Like, that's the attitude that they come in with. So, like, if you look at, like, when he's telling the jokes and then, like, they, cut to, like, the person that the joke's been made about.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, what? They're like, they're drinking something.
Some of them
what?
are definitely hearing it.
And they're just like, they're sort of like, oh, me, okay. Like, because they're not paying
So
attention.
my question is like, what
percentage?
percentage? Okay, they're all Hollywood elites, right?
Yeah.
So the ideal comedian is going to make a joke that panders to their ego and maybe doesn't hurt them too much. Like that's to get them to laugh, right?
Yeah.
What percentage of you reckon that audience even knew who the hell Joe Coy was? I don't think
Probably
a lot.
20%.
I actually don't think a lot. So that's number one.
Because
Right?
you see him on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Just scrolling by. But
So Joe
really-
Coy, you've watched a bit of his Netflix specials, right? Okay. What sort of comedy you reckon? Like, how would you explain it?
It's a bit different. It's not like, so I compare this to,
like,
because to me, Steve Martin is the top in terms of monologues and hosting awards.
Yeah.
His, when he hosted with Alec Baldwin for the Oscars, mate, that was like top tier. It was funny. It was good. Joe Coy's a different type of comedian.
He's a different sort of comedian.
It's a different style.
Agreed.
It's not one that I would think would be
That
like,
works for this.
that works for
I think
award shows.
that's
It's
one
more
thing,
just
right?
like he's very much a storyteller. Like, oh yeah, I was doing this and I was doing that, like with high energy.
Yeah.
And just like, I'm doing that. Oh really? Oh yeah. Like,
And a lot of he also to me like
because he was trying to do the regular awards show monologue opener,
and it didn't work
with
for him,
like.
right?
You're introducing. Oh look, there's someone in the crowd over there. Oh look at that movie's cast is over there. He was doing that and trying to mix in little things, which is, I mean, regular standard fare.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just some of the jokes that he mixed in with didn't land.
See, yeah, to me he's like observational humor. He builds a lot of like,
But he builds that story.
Yeah, in his very
He's like, my
story
auntie
based, right?
did this and then she did that, and like.
And the other
we
thing
went
is,
there,
I hate to put it here, but like I view like the Joe Coy sort of comedy as like the Russell Peters sort of one.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
yeah,
self-deprecating
yeah,
and it's
right.
racially
Yeah,
tuned, right? Which whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah.
When you see a Joe Coy, in the same way when you see a Russell Peters Netflix, come on, man. In the same way we see Hassan Minaj, the audience is Southeast Asian.
Yes.
You're gonna have them to.
He was in a room full of white people.
Like, I'm not,
he even said it. He even said it.
So here's the thing, right? So one is you have a guy that like already the audience is not mismatched, right?
Yeah.
Like just not in that zone, right?
Yeah.
If for example this was in like maybe Southeast Asian or Indian like awards show, maybe you already have them a little bit, right? So when he was doing the impression of his mom. Look, people laughed because with the mom you're not going to, but that is not something that sort of
where I think Joe lost them was when he was like, oh. Yeah, that joke, when one didn't land, and he's like, that joke was written by the awards guys.
I agree. So
you know which ones are my jokes. So that's where he lost it.
So here's the thing.
That's
so it was lukewarm to begin with, but part of it was just, look, he didn't have enough time to prepare. He's also taking jokes from like writers. Writers are helping him here. But you're right. I think the other thing is because he relies so much on audience interaction to fuel him and his observational and banter. If he's not getting that, he got defensive. It basically gets a little bit defensive.
He did.
And when you start saying stuff like the jokes that I wrote are there, and I think you what did he say? He
basically like, the ones that I wrote, you guys are laughing.
He said to one of them, "That's hilarious. I don't care what you think about it. The room here is really white. Like, like you know what I mean? You've now gone. Basically, you've bombed, and you're just stuck in it, right?
Because that's the thing. Even as a comedian, if you are bombing,
you have to keep the wall,
going,
right? You have to keep the wall,
you
right?
Keep going. Don't bring that meta aspect to it, because then it pulls people out of it. And you're like, okay, wait, this is really actually shit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If he's saying it's shit,
if you're exactly, if you're like justifying it and you're saying
a good comedian knows how to spin that around.
Yeah,
but like that's not the way to do it.
I heard Howard Stern, like, he had a really good take about it. He heard that like 10 days notice, and he was like, you should have basically started with that. Look, I've got this gig on 10 days notice. No one in Hollywood, no comedian had the balls to take it. So if you don't laugh at any of my stuff, it's well warranted. And you could have just thrown that
but to me that's an excuse then.
It is an excuse, but like it's a creative excuse. I don't know. Look, firstly, kudos to him for taking it. That's big ball stuff. And to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, all publicity is good publicity. Don't get me wrong. Like we're
certainly talking about Joe Coy more than we were.
A lot of people are like, "Who is this guy?" So if you search his name, he's getting it. But you have to say like, some of the things people are saying, people just suck, right? Like on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, pretty shitty. But he's laughing all the way to the bank. He's gonna get more notoriety. And to be honest, he didn't do that bad of a job.
It wasn't that bad to me. I was like,
it just wasn't memorable. It was memorable for the wrong reasons.
It wasn't really that memorable, and the outrage was also for Barbie. But
you can't go to Taylor Swift.
By the way, have you watched Barbie? You watched Barbie?
Yeah, I watched Barbie. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. Shit.
It was. I didn't like it. Yeah. So I don't know why they're offended, but you're offended about this.
I like the one he said about. Oppenheimer answered the questions that we all were asking.
The scientists get laid.
I'm like, that was good. That was really good. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And then it was like, I just thought it was not long enough.
The whole cast of Oppenheimer was like bestiary him.
That's what I mean. Okay, so that's what I mean. That's
actually Christopher Nolan.
Objectively, that's funny, dude. When he said that, like, the first season was good, that's funny because of how long it is, right? Yeah. I'm like, bro, if you can't laugh at that, you're taking yourself too seriously. Yeah. But the other stuff, I can see it. But whatever, man. Whatever, Joe. Don't worry about it, bro.
Yeah. Just maybe you should have gone a bit more like nasty, like Gervais did. Just gone after.
See, the thing is, I actually saw the Gervais one after just to try and get like a baseline. I don't think it was that much better.
Gervais went after them, man.
Even more satirical.
He called them all pedos.
Yeah, he basically did.
And all that. So he was saying that shit before Epstein stuff.
I saw like the reaction of like Tom Hanks for the Gervais one, and he fucking hated it. Yeah. Like, so what I'm saying is like, dude, you had. I think that's what I mean. I don't think anyone knew who this guy was. Yeah. Like, or very little, right? Yeah. So if you had. And this actually ties to the next one, which we're gonna talk about Chappelle. When you know someone and you have that like high opinion, I'm telling you, you can get away with non-funny stuff.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you can.
Fuck you. Chappelle's not funny, man. Fuck that shit.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, so Dave Chappelle, he's got a new Netflix special. What's the name of
The
it?
Dreamer.
The Dreamer. Okay, bro. Let's get into this. So did you like it?
I loved it,
Bro,
man.
okay, hold on. Okay, hold on.
Chappelle's
Okay.
the GOAT.
Okay, it's bro, you're
He is
dick riding.
He
I'm
is the
sorry,
GOAT.
man.
Dick riding.
Yeah, okay. Hold up. Okay, 0 to 10.
Yeah.
5 is pass, right?
Yeah.
Which means pass is a good mark.
Yeah.
Obviously, 9 and 10 is like amazing.
Excellent,
like based on like the past couple of specials, where does this rate
8.
to?
It's an 8.
So you rate this high?
I rate this as an 8. It's good. Like it's actually like it felt like he was his previous specials. Like it felt like it was going too all out. This one felt like
What do you mean when you say all out?
I don't know. This one felt more, and this is I don't know if it was because of where he was filming this in the place where he filmed "Killing Me Softly."
Yes.
It felt more like that. It felt like that Chappelle. It was a bit different.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about it. It was a bit more back to that sort of Chappelle. And yeah, it was funny, man. Like, I love the way he narrates stories. I love the way he does callbacks. Like it was good. It was solid. It was a solid one.
Okay, then
it's not the greatest one ever, but like it was solid.
Okay. So you rated it like as funny, not laughing on your desk funny, but it's funny.
Yeah, funny. Yeah.
Okay. So Jesus. All right. I didn't find it funny,
my
man.
God.
I didn't find it. Okay. Here's the thing, right? So we love the Chappelle show.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking funny, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm trying to rationalize is Chappelle, like all comedians, you have to grow, right?
Yeah.
So he has evolved, and you know what he is now more than a comedian. He is like a fucking A-grade storyteller, like
Yes.
exceptional.
And that's
like,
why like his show was great, right? Because he
internet-
knew how
like,
to tell stories.
internet, like really nuanced, very can get hyper political and go there, right? So somewhere along the line, you like especially the last 4, let's just call it, it's more political. Like Chappelle's show was like a point in time, right? And the
Yeah.
thing is, that's the Chappelle that a lot of people grew up on, right?
Yeah.
So that's the Chappelle that I like, right? There was a Chappelle before the Chappelle show. You remember that one? That was very crude, right? Like Chappelle's show is still quite crude, right? And then he is still crude, and that's the thing about
That's what
Chappelle.
Killing Me Softly was. That he was very crude.
Yeah, right? Yes, I love that. But what I mean is, like, depending on what age we were like kids, right? So like, that shit's funny, right?
Yeah.
When you're a kid, but then you look now, and you're like, yeah, it's all right. I get it. It's still funny. Crass humor is funny, but like, I just did not find it funny, man. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I got the jokes. There were some bits that were funny, and then the other thing is like, I remember the one before that. I really liked that one.
Yes.
I
yes,
really liked that one, right? And there was a time during the George Floyd riots where it wasn't a special.
something, yeah,
he did something on YouTube, and
Yeah.
it wasn't funny at all, right?
'cause it was a serious-
it was like it wasn't funny at all, but like it was so compelling. It was like poetry, right? And then he had comedic elements in it, but it was like activist, right? So somewhere along the line, you have this Dave Chappelle there. So I'm trying to rationalize in my head now, like genuinely, in the next day, like Dave Chappelle comedy special, what am I getting? Because am I getting comedy or am I getting, because it's fun, like,
Or is it this that maybe he's done too many of these specials, right?
Yeah.
You see comedians with specials on Netflix.
yeah,
He's signed a massive deal with Netflix
yeah.
to do these specials, but there's like 7 of them, isn't there? Or 6 or
Yeah,
7
yeah,
of them.
yeah.
Like, is it kind of like maybe we want him to do like an actual show now?
But okay, so that's what I mean. Like, dude, I'm in the minority. I went out and looked at almost every reaction on the internet.
Yeah.
Everyone loves it. So either I've like had a paper bag on me. Trish loved it. She thought it was coherent, and I'm like, I think this was his most disjointed thing that I watched. So I'm like, I don't know. No, like, is this?
It all tied back to that theme of him being a dreamer.
I get it.
And in Hollywood, right?
I get it.
In a place that's so disgusting, and also like the way that they treat people.
Yeah.
He's someone who has dreams.
Yeah.
About telling stories about people, about that's his dream, to be up there on the stage, and he did it. So I mean, he tied that pretty well.
He did at the end. The last preamble was pretty good. Not his strongest preamble that I've seen, but I don't know, man. Like, and this is what I'm saying about the whole Joy Coy thing.
Yeah.
I generally think, and then when I see the comments of anyone saying something a little bit off on Dave Chappelle, you get lambasted. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get smacked down in the comments here. And this is my...
Mainly by me. I'll be in that comment section.
But this is my main point. Like, when you are at such a level sometimes, when you just have like bro, we talked about that.
Well, the thing is, I just find that guy funny. Like, whatever he does.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that as an independent piece of work, you can critique something and say, bro, that just wasn't that funny. Yeah. Like, I didn't find the Chris Rock special that funny at all.
Chris Rock,
people did, but that was like a lot. When you go on the internet, it was a bit more 50-50. Yeah. A lot of people just love this, and that's why I think Dave Chappelle.
I love the Chris Rock part in the Dave Chappelle.
That was good. That was
good. Even the Jim Carrey stuff he was talking about. It's a bit controversial, but yes, that was good. That was funny.
But that's what I mean. Like when you say, "Oh shit, Dave Chappelle, it's on. We got to watch this," right? You have such high expectations that But you're right. You know what? I think there's a part of me as like that wants that old school Chappelle. Like, I want
the thing, right? Like, are we sort of too much? Has there been too many stand-up specials? I think for him, he's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
I think he needs to do something like Chappelle Show. It doesn't have to be 100% that. It could be a Netflix series of him starting in Hollywood.
Yeah,
that would be interesting to tell, right?
Yeah.
I would even, because there's a lot of drama that happens behind the scenes. You could do something more than just a comedy. You could do a dramedy about a biopic about him and his experiences in Hollywood, because he talks about it, right?
Correct.
He talks about how, like, Hollywood all of a sudden can turn on you and paint you as a crazy person.
Yeah.
Which they did, right? Remember back in the day when he rejected $50 million. But what anyone failed to tell about that was that the reason he rejected that was because that was actually 10% of what he made Comedy Central. $500 million, by the way.
Yeah.
He made Comedy Central $500 million, and then they were only willing to give him 10%.
Yeah.
So that part was left out during that narrative when he was being made that he was crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember that vividly when he just sort of stopped. He was like, I don't want to accept this. And then everyone was calling him crazy. They went to Africa and they thought he was on drugs and all sort of stuff. It's crazy, right? The narrative, the media narrative that these powerful Hollywood elites can sort of stir up. And
you control the media. You control.
To me, that's more fascinating if you were to do a series of something like that. Like, he's a comedian trying to make it in Hollywood, and there's all these things going on.
He could,
because his dad dies as well. When he was very young as well.
Yeah. No, he definitely could. Okay, see, but the thing is, I want denigrate levels lower than that. I think that we're in the phase.
Rich Chappelle, he doesn't go back. Right? He doesn't go back. He'll go forward.
Yeah, but that's my
right? He want to do something more than Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
Everyone's been saying, man. I'm sure has been who's
so
heard
what
it.
We like Chappelle Show because of the pace and the diversity of the skits, right?
And how far he could go with like
characters, right?
With his characters and the material that, like, he just didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
that's what I liked most about Chappelle, is that he didn't really give a shit, and he still doesn't give a shit about what anyone says. He has the backing of Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix, was under huge scrutiny to drop him after all the jokes that he made about the LGBT, whatever. Like, he made a lot of jokes about them, and there was a lot of protests. There was a lot of anger, but Netflix has backed him, and that's very rare to see in a company, that they just sort of like, no, we're going to back him. And I'm pretty sure there's some financial and data behind it, right?
Oh, for sure.
They're not just backing him because, like, they're backing him because he's one of the greatest. But, like,
one of the goats.
He's like,
if you have Chappelle in your arsenal, that alone is brand equity.
Yeah, but like, I get what you're saying. Content wise, I think we need to change up a bit.
I just think that
the
overall,
stand-up special is a bit.
A lot of the comment, like, I think they just it's too political. I want, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the scene. That's the comedy scene.
But why does it have to? Well, the guy has range, right? He can go full degenerate to full intellectual, right? So right now he's straddling between both of those lines and having to comment. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying sometimes when I watch it, like, maybe it was the day that I watched it, I want to laugh. Like, I want to, like, laugh out loud, and some of these are just too grapply topics to do so, right? And I kind of yearn for that old Chappelle, and I thought that, again, because we know what he's done in that particular spot, it would maybe do a memory sort of lane. And there's not too much of that. That sort of stuff is empty calories, and that's why I think the Chappelle Show was like a moment in time.
It really was.
Where And I don't you're right. I don't think the guy can go back to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I was expecting. I just generally didn't find it very funny.
Well, that's
But it's entertainment.
Yeah,
It's entertainment. Like it
entertainment
was
is good.
funny. I'm just saying it's not.
See you in the comments.
All right. Anyway, she's comedians on comedians. Speaking of, mate, the comedian of the hour, your boy, Cat Williams.
My boy,
Cat
Cat Williams,
Williams.
went after your boy, Kevin Hart.
Bro, this guy comes in looking all crazy with a dashiki. No, he didn't have dashiki. With a beanie on, right? On Club Shay Shay, which I watched, by the way. Like, have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
Dude, this thing is 10 days old as of when we were recording.
Shannon Sharp's the guy that goes, Coach, you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
he's usually known for those sports hot takes with the guys, but he has his own podcast channel called Club Shay Shay.
Yeah.
42 million views and counting. It's
massive.
It is.
I've seen this all over social media.
It is already basically the number one viewed podcast for 2024, and it's only mid-January.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
So it's gonna do 100 mil.
Yeah.
And this guy goes in, and he just goes ham on everyone.
So here's the thing, right?
What are your thoughts, mate?
Is he speaking truth
Yes.
or...
Bit of
and
fabrication.
like he has said,
Yeah.
and like we've seen this, which I explained with the Chappelle stuff,
Yeah.
do they want to make it seem like it's crazy? That's the question.
Who is they? He was completely coherent. He did. Okay, so so here's the thing. You watch the clips, right?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of clips, by the
Yeah.
way. This is he goes through. He takes a jab at Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Joe Rogan and his posse.
Yeah.
You hear what he said about Kim and Kanye?
Yes, that's what that one was.
Ludicrous.
Yes.
Okay.
Luda one was
The
interesting.
Luda one was interesting
That
too,
was
and
weird.
that's just the tip of iceberg. You go, it's two and a half hours, close to 3 hours. So I watched all of it in its entirety. Dude, the guy was in complete control because when you watch the clips, you see a very what's the word, showman. The clips are of like these people that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So when he's talking to those clips, his persona is dialed to 12, right?
Yeah.
But integrated in that interview is actually a chat about his life and how he came up the ranks.
Yeah.
Dude, if the clips about all these people are 12, he goes to 4. I'm not even joking. So
Just goes back and
yeah,
down.
he goes back down. So what I mean is that's a person that is completely in control of what they're saying.
So
and
do you think he did that on
knows what
purpose?
he's well.
That he knew to go viral?
Well, this is my thing, right? So, like, if you want to go viral, like, these are some of the biggest comedians in the world, right? You go viral. So, Cat Williams, he's not massive now. He's not a big name.
No,
but he is an OG, right? He's like
Yeah,
he's like an ice. He's an OG of the game.
Mid 2000s, that was
Cat Williams,
his
right?
era, you know.
But he's not unknowable, right? Like
Yeah.
people know of him, right? But I'm saying that if there was this same podcast only about the Cat Williams story, of course it wouldn't get nowhere near the notoriety, right? But it's not only that; it's just how raw and abridged. Like these attacks are quite direct and aggressive. For like, so Kevin Hart, he calls him an industry plant, right?
Yeah.
I've never. Have you ever heard the term industry plant? I mean, I'm sure it's a term, but like, I'm like, that's such a thing to say about it.
Yeah.
He also said that all these roles that Kevin Hart got, which are the same sort of guy, they got offered to him. And because he asked for certain changes, and because he said, I didn't want homosexual elements in it, he got passed of it. And they went to Kevin Hart and he said, Kevin kept taking it. And this is effectively the narrative that he says to all these comedians, in that they basically not lack morals, but to get to the places that they're willing to do basically anything and be an industry shill, effectively, right? Cedric the Entertainer, he claims he stole his joke. Wow. Steve Harvey just fucking hates Steve Harvey. He went up at Joe Rogan and he says it to Joe Rogan that Joe Rogan doesn't want him to be in his podcast, and he said that he's shilling his group of Schultz, like all those comedians, and none of them are funny.
Is Joe Rogan part of that New York comedy scene as well? Does he know those guys?
Yeah, New York,
he knows
LA.
a lot of them.
Yeah. Like they all know Kim and Kanye. I'm not even going to say the word, but what I mean is, I'm not even going to say it because it's so abrasive.
It is.
You know what you're saying. You know the words that you're using. This guy's not a dummy, right?
Yeah.
Like he is clearly an intellectual, and he's weaponized it. Like he's very specific. And in some of these ones about Kevin Hart, and I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
He literally said, in how many years in Hollywood, Kevin Hart and I have never walked by, right? Like, in a
Yeah.
thing, comes in, comes out, right? He's like, it's because if we walk by, he says specifically to Cedric Entertainer, he's not going to be walking straight. He basically, you can't do, like,
So they've had a history, Kevin
they've
Hart.
had,
and,
yeah,
like,
Kevin Hart and that. But what I'm saying is he effectively said he's going to bash him.
Yeah,
like,
gonna bash
like
him,
how
yeah.
can you say that on like 45 million people watched it and you can't constitute that as a threat? Like, I've seen
Yeah.
people call police for
That
a lot
actually
less.
could be.
That is
That
an outright threat. He basically
Yeah.
said that if we ever walk by the same, he's like, I'm that guy. I'm always sober. I'm in control. Like, that's like, like the different sort of versions of him that you went through. You
Yeah.
had like humble guy talked about like adopting 7 kids,
Yeah.
putting back to society, not God-fearing kind of man. Then you had this psychopathic guy that is basically saying that if we walk by, like in the same thing, I'm gonna basically
Well, to
back
me,
you.
the interesting part was how he's basically said, no one remembers Kevin's come up.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
That like all of a sudden, this guy didn't have any, wave of fandom that brought him that first movie.
Yeah.
He arrived in Hollywood first.
So it was more or less made,
with a
right?
sitcom and a movie.
Yeah.
That's
What
never
was the
happened.
sitcom?
Kevin Hart had a sitcom. I remember it, but he says that he was in Soul Plane and
Yes.
he had a sitcom
Soul
at
Plane
the
was-
same time.
Yeah.
And that was his first year. And is that no one has ever done that before. No one's ever done that since.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you could just say he's a bitter old man.
and
if
that
you
was
say
interesting, right? Because I think he was talking about in the context of LA.
Yeah.
But we saw Charlemagne debunk this. He said that Charlemagne said that actually Kevin had a massive following in New York.
Yeah.
That's where Kevin was very smart in that. Kevin used to go to the shows he used to have packed out shows. And then there was no Twitter, so he'd get everyone's emails, and he built this massive mailing list.
Yeah.
And when Twitter became a thing,
Yeah.
he basically told everyone to follow him on Twitter because then everyone was like, "Wait, how come this guy has a massive
many
following
following,
already?"
yeah.
It's because Kevin was smart to the business before he all this stuff like social media was there.
Yeah.
He knew where it was. Like he knew how to market. Now, whether Cat Williams is jealous of that or whether it could be, who knows? I don't have any proof either way that Kevin Hart's not a plant.
Yeah.
What he's saying is correct. There are a lot of movies where he's done the same
if
thing.
If someone says you're a plant, like you tell me this, and you know that you're not, would you not outrightly say I don't believe it? Because Kevin Hart's response was nothing to do with it.
So Kat's done this before to Kevin, right?
Yeah.
I think about a friend that there's some woman friend that he's talking. I saw him on the Breakfast Club saying he was defending her and instead of saying Cat Williams is a sorry old man.
Yeah. What Kevin's saying this?
Yeah. He was on the Breakfast Club saying it. And it was about something before that Cat Williams said.
Yeah.
I think at this point, maybe he just doesn't want to be seen as talking to him on that level. But you cannot deny 45 million views. That's the thing, right?
Well, you can, but not deny. But this is what I'm saying. A lot of people have reacted to it, in terms of like the people that he has called out in different, mannerisms and fares. But you got to think about it, right? Like to say the things that he said. If he's outright lying about it, geez, you gotta have no conscience to lie like that. And then because it's gonna blow up to a degree. Maybe not to 45 million in 10 days, but it's gonna blow up, right? That's like you're hedging all of. I don't even know what you're trying to do because you're right. Cat Williams is not someone that frequents podcasts a lot.
No, it's
at
not.
all. So it's a bit. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
what is he trying to achieve?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
It's like if you have a guy that's consistently calling wolf because that's just how he generates PR and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe you can call it, but like if you type in Cat Williams podcast, there's not a lot. It's maybe 1 page, 2 pages.
And here's the thing with Kevin. Like if Kevin wanted to, I think he could respond pretty stingingly back to Cat.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's maybe being the bigger man, maybe in this.
Maybe.
Because he's tried responding before to Cat.
Yeah.
And maybe he's been told not to do that. Could be.
I tell you what, though.
By the industry, maybe.
Plant. What did you think about the ludicrous one, man?
That one was
Illuminati party, baby. So you mean
He was basically saying that there was two. It was him and Ludo in the room at the start of their careers.
Yeah.
And basically one of them was going to be a rapper and one of them was going to be a comedian.
Yeah.
But to be a rapper, you had to do something, do something gross.
What the why are these Illuminati guys gotta be so gross?
Satanism,
Bro, man. Like, that's what I mean. Like, if these are lies, dude, you're going out of your way to make so much fabrication.
Well, here's the thing, right?
I can't, it's just, it's too, so, it gets to a point where if things are too far-fetched, I just believe it's way, like, it's
well, here's the thing. They got
element of
45
truth
million
to it.
views. You'd think other people would want to call him now on their podcast.
That's what I mean.
Right?
They're not. That's what I'm saying. If someone goes ham on me,
Yeah.
and it's just like some of the things he's saying are ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just pretty aggressive. I would call out. Like you have to defend yourself. To me, silence. Yes, the bigger man is like a thing, but like,
Well, I feel like Kevin Hart feels like he's on that level that he doesn't need to respond to Kat anymore. So when that shit happened before between Kat, there was like, he was not at the level that Kevin is.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Kevin's
yes.
on an elite level of
for
comedy
sure.
right now.
I think like, like
that part of the
if you
problem?
have someone that's dragging the your name in the mud, you probably don't want to engage in that. But
Because that's what most PR firms would sort of tell you, like, just don't respond. It makes him look more crazy, right?
so hear this. Apparently, Cat Williams is obviously doing a stand-up tour. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
And Kevin Hart's ex-wife is joining him on the tour.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So,
You remember back in the day
yeah.
when mid 2000s there used to be rap beefs.
Yep.
And then a lot of them would sort of admit later that they did it to drive up sales.
Oh yeah.
Is this the same thing?
But that's what
He's done this.
A lot of people are saying
gone
that, right?
viral to drive up sales for his stand-up shows.
Does he need to? But yeah.
I think he does because he's sort of been out of the spotlight for a while.
If it is, it's working. I went to Netflix and I've never watched Kevin Hart. Cat Williams, and now it's like trending and coming up. Like,
So another question, actually, Shannon Sharp.
yeah.
How much like views does this podcast usually get? Because that would be interesting.
Not Shannon Sharp. Not a lot. Not 45. Nowhere mils, man. Probably this is the first
100,000 or something.
Yeah,
like that,
200.
200,000.
Like, definitely
So
no.
this is a big deal. Yeah.
This is a big deal for him. Like, apparently he got like 1 million subs off this alone.
Wow.
Which makes sense, man. Yeah. Yeah, definitely not in the mills consistently, right?
Yeah.
This is the first like astronomical one. And he's interviewed all those guys. He's interviewed Cedric, he's interviewed Steve Harvey,
Yeah.
all those jokers. But man, like 2024, all these guys coming back wanting to start a beef. I wonder if Cat Williams will come on our show.
Oh, Cat, come on, man. We'll put a third seat here.
Bro,
It's all right.
like, as if now Cat Williams is not like the hottest ticket. Like, apparently, Joe Rogan responded and said that he loves Cat Williams and if he wants to come, make it happen.
Oh,
If
really?
if Cat Williams goes on Joe Rogan and starts cussing him out,
right in front of him.
they'll do 100
That'd be
mil,
sick.
100 mil in one day. I reckon this year is the year of like
The beef?
the big astronomical numbers, like in terms of like podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, like,
Long form content's where it's at. Like,
I'll explain something about. Well, I was talking about yesterday at a party, TikTok, right?
yeah,
So TikTok is changing its business model,
to what?
and TikTok wants you now to do longer videos longer than 1 minute.
Do they allow that?
Yes. So
Technically?
now they allow 30-minute videos, right?
30-minute on
Yes.
TikTok.
Yes, on TikTok.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And they're doing that because right now, if you go through like TikTok with the ads, like you're just scrolling through very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Ad companies hate that.
Yeah, of course.
And TikTok has been told by ad companies that this is not good.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point of us coming on here if you get like 0.2 percent or whatever, or half a second
the view
worth of
through
viewing
and all
an
that
ad.
stuff, yeah.
You can't really sell much.
Yeah.
What the advertisers want is mid-roll ads, and like YouTube has, and this is TikTok's way of combating YouTube and becoming that platform.
It's not going to work, man. I mean,
It
you
might
can.
not,
It can.
but this is what they want, right?
Yeah.
They want content creators to, and they're going to emphasize more content that is longer, like 5, 7.
Bro, you'll have to
minutes,
do
10
that on your
minutes.
phone in that view. Like, it's not
Yeah, that's
the
the
easiest
thing. But, like,
thing, right?
I have seen this year starting like I've seen videos that are like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. And you can
Really?
scroll
What
through
sort
it.
of videos are
Those
they?
are the
Are they
ones-
documentaries? Like what?
No,
are
it's
they?
like it's
Are they
reactions as well. There's like podcast
Yeah.
stuff, but like instead of like doing the the usual like we do like the 30 40
Snippets,
second
yeah.
snippet, which I think still works, right? If we get trending audio and stuff like that. But I think alongside that, you would need to sort of do, I reckon, the subject clips.
What do you mean?
Like how we do
reaction?
subject clips, right?
Yeah.
We got the long episode, and then we got the subjects.
Yeah.
I reckon putting the subject clips up on TikTok as well.
long form
might be
stuff.
a thing. Yeah.
can try
and then, because TikTok wants people to do that. They're pushing it. Even if you look now, and I forgot where, but like we can upload on TikTok. It says we're prioritizing longer than 1 minute videos.
You'll have to recut the whole thing. It's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
but that view you could do.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, like we've started 2024 with a bang. It's the year of the truth, according to Cat Williams. But all right, man, should be interesting. Anyway, guys, that's episode 1 for the year 2024. If you like the content today, leave a thumbs up and some comments below, and we hope to see you next week. So, guys, peeps.
Peace.